confirm. Oh, okay,
yeah,
I can
we
see
are
now.
live.
Okay, so hello everyone. This is our first JCasC office hours meeting. We've decided we should have this meeting to like make it easier to communicate. We have a lot of different communication channels, but some issues we've noticed to be very hot, and it's probably easier to discuss it when we can simply talk at the same time instead of using GitHub issues. So the plan initially is to have these sessions bi-weekly. We had a doodle, and all the participants agreed that 9 a.m. European time, I guess, or Central European time, is the best one for us. But not many people participated. We can still adjust if there is a need, but yeah, let's start with that. Just to make sure we all know where to look for the information when it comes to plugin development and issues. We are using GitHub issues. When it comes to communication around the implementation, whatever it should not end in GitHub issues, we will use our Git channel. Our Gitter channel for that. And Oleg, since you're the one who introduced Gitter to me, when maybe you can confirm, is this like anyone can join the channel without the invitation?
Yeah, anyone. Yeah, maybe the best way would be to just do a short screen share and show these channels so everybody knows the links.
Okay, so that makes sense. How do I screen share?
The button on the left panel.
Yep. So let's start with, okay, I'm gonna show my desktop. So I hope you can now see Gitter. Yes,
we can.
So Jenkins CI-configuration as code plugin, exactly as the repo location in GitHub. This is our Gitter channel, and we have a lot of we had a discussion regarding how and where to handle the JCasC office hours that we're having right now. And you said, Oleg, that you will post the links in on YouTube under the video. We will
we will do that so that watchers will be able to access it. By the way, we have 2 people in YouTube. If you're interested, just go to the Gitter channel and use the participant link, which is posted there.
Yeah, so the how to join the meeting, you said this is the participant link for the meeting that is happening now. So anyone welcomed? Okay, let's go back to where is the meeting? In the other browser, actually.
We all have many tabs open, right?
Okay, that's not looking good. I will stop sharing.
This is what we call the matrix.
Yeah, and I like, how do I stop sharing?
Well, it happens during every recording. So
yeah, pretty much every time, yeah.
Here, okay.
Yeah, I can interrupt your presentation if you want.
There we go.
I think I stopped sharing. Oh no, I clicked the wrong link.
No, not quite. There we go.
Okay, thank you very much for helping me. I'm afraid to share again now, but I'm afraid I will have to.
Wait, you're actually still sharing when you talk, or when someone else talks with. Anyways.
Okay.
There we go.
Yeah.
Now you're back.
So I'm not sharing now.
There we go.
God, sorry, but we learn all the time.
Yeah.
So the goal, I guess we covered the communication channels, and yeah, let's move on to the actual meeting. So today I want to talk about the, in general, what's the status of the plugin development. We have some new issues that Oleg was creating yesterday and then apologizing for spam. So I don't know if you feel any of this issue is worth discussing here, then please do. But we also have a couple of issues or pull requests that had a long discussion in them in GitHub issues or pull requests. So I would like to have a look at those and see if we can reach some consensus. And then it would be great if we could talk about the actual first official release, if any of you have any comments about what's missing and how we can do it. And so this is my first real involvement in the open source project, so I may need your advice regarding how to handle some of the stuff. But yeah, we'll get to that. So let's start with the status. We had a long discussion regarding JEP 201. Nicola and Liam were involved, and it all started with the feedback we got during or after Jenkins online meetup we had in April. And the result of discussion is that we have decided to make JEP 201 more general, something very high level. And we had a session where we've decided to skip some part or move some parts to another JEP. And Liam, you are responsible for submitting a new PR with the new, more general version. Am I right?
Yes, that is correct. And basically, what we agreed to do, just to give a little more detail there, is to move some of the implementation details around whether or not we're focusing on whether or not we use what APIs we use to define the schema of the YAML file, the configuration file, to a separate JEP, because there was some back and forth and some discussion and so what we want to do is what we agree to do is to make the 201 a missions and goal JEP that would that everyone can agree on, and that JCasC can mark as accepted, that we can really say, yes, this is the direction we're going, and then have a little more of the implementation details of how we achieve that in two separate JEPs. Currently, we agreed to one that would be the schema, and the other one would be the tooling. So they'd just be slightly different. And I'll start a PR for what I believe this will get us to acceptance on 201 within the week, and then also I'll get another JEP created for that other part. And yeah, we had this meeting last week. We had the meeting last week to figure this out. We have a Google Doc of what we sort of worked out, and I need to flesh out a couple little things, and I just haven't had time. So that'll happen this week.
Sure, great. And then, so just to make sure I got it right, you mentioned that we will have, except 201, we'll have 2 additional JEPs.
Yeah, the 201 we'll move that to get it to be accepted, and this is also JCasC has already sort of indicated his preference here, and so we're sort of serving that his request as the BDFL, and that way we have an agreed upon plan, and then there'll be another JEP opened. There's already the tooling JEP has already been proposed, and there's been some discussion on it. I need to look at that and see if there's a way that I can get it to draft status. I think there's some edits to be made and typo fixes and little things to reach that, to get that to reach draft status, and then we'll have another JEP as well. And I guess the last thing I would say on that is all of this has been JEP is a new process, so there's been some back and forth, and there have been some improvements to the JEP process based on what happened with 201, and also none of this has ever been a problem with 201 itself. It's more just like some of the implementation, sort of figuring out, just as you're figuring out how to work in an open source project. There's parts of this open source project that are being improved by the JEP process, the Jenkins enhancement proposal process, and so we're all learning together.
Yeah, and that's great. I mean, it's good to have a process that we've all kind of created based on our expectation and experiences. So right. So I think we're doing it right. So anyway, the configuration is called tooling proposal. As you mentioned, the PR is already there. It's pull request 111 in JEP repository. So whoever is interested, you can have a look. And then, yeah, so I think we covered the JEP part. Another thing that I think is worth mentioning is that number of Pragma consultants are already starting implementing the solution at customers. Even if we're still in the alpha stage, we can at least like show them how it works, some kind of proof of concept, and it seems everyone is very eager to have it. And I must say that I was a little bit skeptical at the beginning, because I get notifications every time new issue is created, and I'm aware of all the features we want to have and we don't have. So I did not feel that it's production ready yet. But then I released it. I configured Jenkins with JCasC at one of my customers, and it's just working. And it's I mean, I don't want to say unexpected, but from a user point of view, it looks really, really well. So I just wanted to point that well, we're getting there.
And there's definitely enthusiasm. Everyone that I've mentioned it to, like at OpenDev or some of the other conferences, like, oh yeah, I mean, they're very interested and they're tracking it. So
yeah,
okay.
Yeah, I just wanted to say that if we talk about where to release and what would be the path, there are some options. So if you want to boost adoption, there are ways to release it in public, even if there is some plan for changes. So we can talk about that. But yeah, I agree that there is a huge interest in the project. So we should be moving it forward. And yeah, all current issues, there are some design concerns, there are some API concerns, but we can postpone the most of them till the next phase.
Okay, that's very, very good to hear. So I guess since we already started talking about it, let's move to that point, to how what do we have to do to release the first version. And I have this milestone that I have created some time ago, release 1.0, where I was putting all the issues I believed we need to solve before moving to 1.0, and it was changing in time. But now more or less it contains everything that I would like to have, but it's not a complete list. And most of those issues are documentation related. I believe we need to have a documentation improved to make it really useful. And then what do we have here? So move several configurators outside of Jenkins element. No, that's not the one that I wanted. This already happens on its own. So documentation. Yeah, this is a new feature that I'm awaiting feedback, which means that I want to discuss if there are any opinions or comments. I think it would help with the plugin a lot for companies or people that have a couple of instances, but I'm ready to remove it from the release 1.0 requirements.
Evelina, I have one comment. I just want to echo the same statement about documentation. I had a customer, and the getting started documentation is missing. So many people, when they install it, they have no idea that they need to insert this environment where they need to
So this migration description issue is more or less about that. I mean, migration kind of assumes that you already have your Jenkins installed, but it should also cover the situation when you just start fresh new Jenkins. So yes.
No. I mean, it's much more simple. It's basically how you use the plugin. It's actually not mentioned before I added it that you have to use the environment variable, etc. So
getting started. Okay.
Yeah. That's missing because I get asked the same question over and over again at customers. Yeah.
Okay. So I'm making some notes and I will create all the issues that we've decided we need to create. So this will happen.
Yeah.
And then
Matt, I was going to say you can direct them to. There's a Jenkins online meetup that we did. I guess it's several weeks, maybe a month ago, that actually shows a bunch of this. I don't know that it shows the getting started. Maybe we want to have another like a quick video that shows this too. I mean, that might be also useful.
Yeah, and once you have a sub-project on Jenkins.io, you can just put all these links there, as well as in the repository's README, so people will have entry points to this documentation and guidelines.
So I was actually going to ask about that. Do you think that this plugin, it's a single plugin, really should be considered a separate sub-project, or I mean, does it? And there's no definition as to what that means. I don't have any particular objection. I'm just wondering what the reasoning was.
Yeah. I would prefer to have it as a sub-project, because even if it's a single plugin, it's effectively an ecosystem, because we need changes in Jenkins, we need changes in tooling, we need changes in other plugins. So we want plugins to adopt APIs and to provide configurators and other integrations. So I would rather start from sub-project, taking the community interest, so that, and there is a parallel discussion about special interest group. So we can just combine it together and have it as a kind of entity within Jenkins project.
Okay, that'll be interesting to discuss a little more widely. With you might want to put that on the Jenkins CI dev list as a hey, should this be a sub project, and sort of gather some information from the community on that one.
Yeah. Okay.
I don't know what the consensus will be, but I'd just like to make sure that we are gathering it, right?
Of course, yeah. I will take care of that.
The other thing I was going to ask about was this is the release 1.0 milestone. I'm wondering if you want to if it would make sense to do like a release 0.9 or like a beta effectively, and shoot for like getting all of the issues squared away, all the issues that we know about squared away, and then have a sort of a blog post to say, hey, this is thing that we're in. This is the JCasC has gone beta, and give another sort of shout out at that point with, and then give people time to really pound on it. I mean, obviously people are already doing so, but that would get another layer of people.
Yeah, it's what I was about proposing. Because we have an option to release not beta, but release candidate, RC. So the current behavior of Jenkins tooling is when you release alpha and beta, they go to experimental update center. We already have alpha there. So if you release beta, it will go there as well. But what we could do, we could release candidate. 1.0, 0.1 doesn't really matter. And what we could do, we could annotate APIs, like I proposed in some of the tickets, so that these APIs are marked as beta availability, and we restrict all other classes which are not supposed to be APIs. And then with introductory documentation, it can be shipped as release candidate.
That sounds really good.
And what does it change? Is it then available from the regular update center?
Yes, it would.
Okay. It'd be available, but it would also communicate. It would probably communicate. Okay, we feel strongly about it, but it gives the wider community a chance to get in on it and really pound on it and say and give you a lot of feedback, and then that 1.0 solid 1.0 becomes a much stronger feeling release, right?
So this release candidate should contain all the issues we want to have in 1.0.
Pretty much, yeah. All the ones that we know about, yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
And then if we expect to get a bunch that people come in with, and if they don't, great. But if
yeah.
Yeah, I think that we need to add some issues to this list. So
of
maybe
course, yes.
If you generally agree with the release candidate, we could just break down it even now on the call.
Yes, that would be perfect.
Okay. So if you do not mind, I'll share my screen for a while.
Sure.
I'll just show the issues which I consider as important ones. So yeah, I've created some issues after discussions with Evelina and Mats in Sweden. I was there 2 weeks ago. So one of the biggest things which concerns me is compatibility and also migration options. So yeah, there are some tickets like allow accepting restricted fields as opt-in, allow preventing deprecated fields. It's nice to have, it's not needed to release. But what I really consider is required is making extensions better API, because there is a risk that we change them. So I would say towards, yeah.
So this part would be for the 1.0 RC, right? Okay.
Yeah, right. So what we could do is
change the milestone to 1.0 RC, and then
Evelina, would you mind if I just create it?
You can create it, or you can change the existing one, because we will aim to have. We can remove some of them if it doesn't make sense, or whatever you prefer.
Yeah, I would prefer. When do you want to ship it?
It depends what we have in it.
Well, you tell us.
Well, so timing-wise, it'd be nice to have this, have 1.0 finalized fully, at least a few weeks before Jenkins World. So that would be in September.
You mean 1.0?
I mean the actual, yes, exactly. So if we work back from that time, let's say,
I think mid-July the latest.
Sure. I was going to say 1st of August, because Jenkins World is isn't it the end of September? I don't know.
20th, something around that.
Yeah, later part of September. So maybe the 1st of August. This would be. Oh, wait a minute. No, we want to do this before Europe goes on vacation.
So it's next week.
Oh.
No, if we talk about, so I was thinking about we're talking about release candidate. So that was mid-July, and then release 1.0 mid-August or something.
Okay, I can conditionally set mid-August.
Okay, I see.
Yeah. And here, release candidate. Okay, let's say 15th. Okay, so
I mean, let's start with that, and then we'll see how much we really want there, and if it's reasonable.
Yeah, right. So let's take a look at release 1.0. So what is necessary to ship the release? I mean,
the candidate.
Candidate.
This is what users should be warned about. This is the old one, but then I asked Nicola, and then there you commented.
Yeah, so it seems to still. So it doesn't work in all cases.
Yeah. But as I said, Nicola has this tooling proposal where there is some way to verify the configuration. Is correct.
This
the
issue
question
should be
is
in the release candidate because we'll want to have, because this may or may not get closed, but if it does, this will appear as an issue in the tooling project of some kind. So this would definitely be part of the candidate.
I rather agree, at least foundation work. So if you have some defects after that, we can clean them up.
Yeah.
Then, okay, I added that. Then, does it still in?
Because you have to remove the old milestone or not?
No.
Yeah.
No.
I guess I just returned.
I think it can only be part of one milestone in there.
Yeah. So. Okay. Very good.
Okay. So then create a CasC subproject. Yeah, I guess it also needed for RC.
You can also just check them. Check the ones that we want to keep and that we want to take to the RC. Use the checkboxes on the left. And
yeah, right. I was just taking a look at the description.
This is documentation. This is this is very old and it's not documentation. And I must admit I'm getting lost because at the beginning we were trying to mimic UI as much as possible. So everything under Jenkins would be under Jenkins, root element, tools, root element, security roots element. But then unclassified root element was introduced, and some of the configurators that I would expect to be Jenkins root ended up under unclassified. And I understand that it's because that's how it's implemented. It's not like Nicola decided that he moves this here and another configurator to another root element. But I think we at least should discuss how we handle this and what's the final decision how we want it. So let's keep that one.
Definitely carefully.
Yeah, and I guess documentation is broken. This one.
Yep.
We fix as well. What else? Change configuration as code text and manage Jenkins doesn't seem to be a blocker.
No, not at all.
Use case example. Configuration as code not handling deployment properties.
That's a documentation request, like to make it clear that it's just a configuration, I think.
Okay. So is it needed for RC?
No.
Okay, then we'll just move these two issues.
Okay.
And I guess we keep the rest here for now.
Okay. What about this Git branches configuration source?
So it's a nice feature for sure. It still causes a risk of chicken and egg because you update Git plugin using configuration as code, then JCasC restarts and fails to start Git, and your instance is completely dead in water. Yeah, right. I get it. I think that it's a useful feature, but it needs some design, and it's still a feature, so it can be added later. Very good. I'm perfectly okay with that. So, let's keep it out of 1.0 even, probably.
It'll be very useful as like a 1.1, but let's...
Speaking of this configuration source, would it make sense to actually have that location be configurable in the UI? A location of what? Of YAMLs? Yeah, you point to a YAML file. I don't think it should be in UI. It would rather be preferable to support system properties. Okay. Because finally, we may want to have some configuration as code logic, which starts even before plugins get initialized. Yeah. Okay, makes sense. In such case, UI I think is still fine, but maybe UI should be generating a property file or whatever.
Well, okay, so for the way I understand it anyways, there's currently under manage Jenkins, there is a UI page for the plugin, right? Yeah. So on that page, you should be able to enter the location. Yes. So that's at the least that should be there, right? That would be the UI that I would look for, right? So at least for if I have a Jenkins source and I want to try it out, I should be able to point it at something. Yeah.
So
YAML path.
Okay. Yeah, so if you're fine with it, we'll just leave it for you months.
Yeah.
Cool.
I don't know whether it's in RC1, but now while we're talking about it, it would make sense to have that option somehow.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah. So
I think it's kind of nice to have like the Git and branch.
Yeah, but ultimately,
it's not a 1.0 problem. Yeah.
No.
Okay, so now we have a bunch of tickets here,
and there's why don't we not try and cover everything?
Yeah, right.
Let's put that maybe to the next office hours if there's other things that we can do that sort of online to say, okay, are there things that we want in there and make some choices. Otherwise, you've got 60 bugs to go through, and I don't know that you want to spend the rest of the time on that.
Yeah, right. So but
you have a few that you want to throw in there. Okay, sure. Sorry.
Yeah, no problem. I just wanted to propose some foundation work. So I mean that, restricting no public APIs is a kind of no-brainer. We need that.
Yep.
Extension points is better. I think it's something which would help a lot. I mean, once you ship RC, we can start moving code out of the plugin, for example, role strategy and other heavy integrations. But they will be still better. So the scope of impact will be limited. I guess these ones make sense. Job loading, it's a fundamental problem, but it's not the plugin way we need to solve that. And it's still a precondition for this split the plugin to JCasC API and JCasC plugin.
So I have a question now. This split the plugin, we talked about it. Is this something that we can do after the first release?
Yes, we can.
Very good. Very good.
Yeah. So
is it going to be time consuming or would it be?
No, it's not time consuming, I think. So the main problem now is that we have Jenkins configuration as code plugin. Nicola, for example, is working on versioning support, on other tooling. And if we need to bump Jenkins core dependency, it may be a problem for plugin developers. So my proposal was to split it to two parts. So minimal API, which can be used by developers, and we still target 2.60 branch.
Right.
And all UI, front-end, behavior, boot logic goes to Jenkins configuration as code plugin, which actually targets whatever version we need.
Probably makes sense to do that in the RC. I mean, like if we're going to do beta APIs, let's make this. It seems like API definitions in this and it should go into the 1.0 line. I mean, and if it's not super time consuming, if it's kind of like, okay, this is just to kind of move things around. If you're just moving some code around to make it make sense.
So I'm happy to do that, but we need to discuss it with Nicola and Evelina, I guess.
Sure.
Yep.
What do you think, Evelina? You were saying that you would think it would not be 1.0.
So I was thinking it is a little bit time consuming, and when we start moving things around, it's kind of dangerous. And I wouldn't like to rush the solution just to fit it into the deadline we have, and the deadlines we have are kind of determined by Jenkins world date. If Nicola is saying that it is not very dangerous or time consuming, then I choose to believe him. So I'm perfectly okay with having this. And of course, it would be nice to release the in the first official release to have it more or less the way we will keep it.
Yeah. And
I just don't have a very strong opinion. I won't say no. I won't say we need to have it. In that specific case, I rely on Oleg.
Okay, I've just made myself as a signer. I'll tentatively add it to 1.0 release. So it means that if I'm able to do it by the release candidate, it's fine. If not, yeah.
You mean 1.0 release or release candidate?
No, I added it to 1.0 release.
Okay, cool. Just making sure that was intentional.
You just put the could have label on it. So naturally, by Moscow rules, it would be selected last.
Yeah.
Sorry. Yeah, I didn't understand.
There's a label there for priority and severity levels. If you go down a little bit, yeah. So it could have, yeah.
Okay. Done.
Yep.
Yeah. So regarding the rest of the issues I have created, so job loading, as I said, yeah, we likely need to fix it in the core, but it can be done even after 1.0. So I would prefer to not touch it for now, especially since it depends on LTS baselines, etc. But yeah, if I have time, I will try to get it landed by the next LTS baseline.
Okay.
And custom configurator implementations, it's rather a feature for exporter. So our current problem with it, things like role strategy, matrix authentication, and all other things which have custom configurators, they don't export configurations.
Right. So what would you suggest? RC or not?
So it's enhancement in API. It can be done post-RC. So I think that, yeah, it can be definitely done post-RC.
Or and post 1.0 or post?
Yeah, even post 1.0, okay. It's doable. But yeah, the main problem is when you ship 1.0, then yeah, current configuration export logic won't be really helpful in some cases. It's still helpful, but the role strategy and matrix authentication are keystones of secure Jenkins instances, and you cannot export them now.
Okay, I'm just trying to make sure that so 1.0 or RC?
Not RC for sure.
Okay, all right, cool.
Whether 1.0, it's rather to Evelina and Mats and Nicola.
Okay.
So far,
I would like to go back to that one when we're closer to RC to see how it goes, like reprioritize.
Okay, I agree. So I won't even put the priority for now.
Yeah, let's.
We'll have it on the list, and yeah.
Okay. Then what else we have?
Should we?
You have two interesting issues that I'm very glad you have created. The one on the bottom right now, because there was a long discussion that's the hot topic I mentioned. This deprecated constructor setters to allow altering behavior, and what about restricted fields in data-bound configurator? Those are both kind of similar. Am I right?
Yeah, they're pretty similar. Yeah, the problem is with default behavior. So currently for restricted, we just reject, which is a totally valid default behavior. But for example, Baptiste hit issue while working on Jenkins Essentials with workspaces. So maybe
So it sounds like this is an RC issue then.
Well, we can definitely live without it in RC. But yeah, if we have time to live on that, it would be perfect.
Okay, so it's a could have RC issue.
Yeah, something like that. What do you think, Evelina?
Yeah, it could have is perfectly okay. I mean, if we don't do this, if we have time, then that's great. If we don't have time, the world won't fall. What I'm interested is, like, there was you had your idea and your opinion about it, and Nicola had his opinion, and I would like to ask if those issues are kind of something what you both agree on, or there is still no agreement. If you can comment on that.
Likely you talk about this thing.
Yeah.
So regarding this pull request, We both agreed that this is a problem. We fixed it on
That's a good start.
yeah.
We agree this is bad.
We fixed it on the Jenkins core side. So I mean that for this particular case, the problem is resolved. I mean, configuration of GNLP launcher agents. Then, yeah, Nicola is working on data-bound logic. The main use case, we also have discussion about deprecated data-bound setter, so that we can annotate constructors in a better way. But I think we still have a use case for this compatibility. So what I do here is I say that there is an extension point which allows to say that there are other legacy data-bound constructors. So, for example,
I don't mean to sort of cut you short here. Like, are we? I just want to kind of make sure that we're talking about. Are we going into design details here, or are we trying to triage what bugs go into RC? Because I'm okay either way, and I understand if this discussion was ranging into that to figure that out, but I sort of lost track.
Yeah, sorry, I started red-holding a bit. Yeah,
but this is actually important for me to understand, because so I even if we're like shifting a little to the side from the release, I would like to understand first of all where we stand when it comes to that one, and then decide how, because also like this PR is titled proof of concept. So is this something that you all like expect to be merged, or this is just to present the idea and we leave it like that for now?
Yes.
Okay, so it's okay to go into the design details, because Evelina wants to is looking for that detail to get a sense for it. That's great. I just want to make sure we were, if we're delving, it was for a solid reason.
Yeah, so I think we agreed that we need a deprecated data-bound setter and deprecated constructor, data-bound constructor, so that it would be the solution once tooling is ready. But we still have some cases where tooling is not enough. For example, when we need to support all releases of Jenkins core or all releases of plugins, which just cannot be fixed due to whatever reason. So this solution just it's a kind of silver bullet. So within JCasC or within a plugin or within whatever other thing, we can declare. We can just declare an extension point which provides an additional list of constructors and latest setters that can be used by JCasC. So this is the idea. So when no other solutions work, we can use that in order to declare some compatibility, which is kind of secret knowledge. For example, I have GNLP launcher legacy constructor provider, which says that this particular constructor can be accepted by JCasC. Because, we know that it can be accepted, but we cannot fix weekly releases from, LTS releases from 2.73 till 2.121. So for all these releases, we need this patch so that we can use alt agent configurations there. So this is the idea. Just a kind of light last resort solution when other approaches do not work and when we don't have tooling to apply.
Okay.
And we can easily mark it. So currently it's, I can mark this API as beta. We can keep it. So it means that nobody uses this API unless they're totally sure that they want to use it.
Okay. So I guess we can merge that PR.
Yeah, and from a user standpoint, it's very important because I was the one that wrote the original issue on this, that I saw that the behavior changed after I upgraded Jenkins core. So this is really good for the user when we're trying out JCasC for the first time, just in case they use a slightly older Jenkins core, for example.
Okay. So yeah, I think we still need to finalize a discussion with Nicola. I think we are all in agreement that it's rather a hack for particular cases. It shouldn't be considered as a solution for all other cases. But yeah, as a particular solution, I would rather propose to get it integrated.
Okay.
Okay.
More like should have. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So something like that. I hope it will make Nicola happy.
Sounds good. Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, this is the particular case for these two options. So allow accepting restricted fields, allow support of deprecated fields. And actually, both two issues depend on a section in YAML, which allow to configure JCasC itself. So it's a rather thing to discuss with everybody on this call, whether it makes sense.
I really like it, because when to have this section, to have the self-configuration section, because I have some ideas about how it should work, but like specific features, but I've heard people having different opinions. So we can have default behavior, but if it's possible to change the default behavior and let people override or not override or field stuff like that, then that would be great to have it.
Yeah, right. So it's a rather tooling for self-configuration.
Yes.
I do not think it's totally necessary for C, but I think that for 1.0 release it would be helpful. Maybe not for this case, but for something else.
Yeah.
So that we have tooling in place.
I totally agree.
Yeah, and likely it still could have, because we can definitely ship 1.0 without it. Okay, I guess that's all issues I wanted to talk about.
So just to be clear, if we say something as a could have and it's in 1.0, if it doesn't happen, that's okay.
That's okay, because I mean, I will go through the list of all the issues and make sure we are not missing anything, and then we may have some must-have or should-have. So it's kind of a priority, but expressed in the more understandable way. Because what's prior 1, 2, or 3, it doesn't say much. But if it's like must-have, should-have, could-have,
what I mean is, just to be clear about the process that you're sort of targeting is that when you go to decide whether or not you're going to ship 1.0, the could haves will not block block release.
Yeah, if we don't have it, but we have all must-have solved, then we're shipping.
And then those get punted to 1.1 or whatever. Yeah.
Most probably, unless we discover new issues or features that are much more important. So we're pretty agile.
Yeah, exactly. That's fine. I just want to make sure that was the process. Right?
It's good that it's like we said that and it's clarified now.
Cool.
So I guess I'm done with the issues. No, sorry for taking so much time, but yeah,
that's what we're here to do, right?
Oh, don't be sorry. I'm grateful.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if you want to be less grateful, I can return the presentation to you. But
Okay, yeah. I mean, I'm not presenting now, but we have a couple of minutes left. And I just want to like have a look at my notes. What else I wanted to talk about. There is the plugins installation issue, and Nicola provided some solution. He's not here now, so we can't really discuss it with him, but maybe you have some opinions or more understanding. So Nicola provided some solution that allows us to install plugins with Jenkins YAML. And currently it's not working with Docker, right?
Clarification, it didn't work at all.
Oh, it did, yes, right.
The issue, the good thing about the new implementation is you can actually install specific versions.
Yeah.
When they're put in the POM, so your YAML, and but the issue I was having that I think it was based on a very simple use case with only one dependent plugin. So this loop that was running would immediately terminate after installing the first dependency.
Yep.
Okay, but it's fixed now, or?
Yeah, it works now because I have actually tried to like upgrade and installed like a more complex plugin like Warnings, which uses the analysis core, etc. And that seems to be working. So when you add a new plugin and a specific version and you press reload, Jenkins we cannot dynamically deploy plugins because we need to inspect the jar afterwards. So currently now it works with if you update your plugins list or update version and press reload in JCasC, it will correctly install dependencies and create this shrink wrap, which is a representation of the current plugin state in your Jenkins. So it works, but it requires a restart now.
Yeah, but that's what we know, that when you upgrade, you install. Yes, Oleg?
Yeah, so I have many concerns about this feature. Actually, I believe that it's not going to work in many cases architecturally. I mean, even with the start of Jenkins instance, you get into so many dangerous things. For example, data migration, you have no option to roll back without whatever backup tooling. And until it's implemented, my suggestion would be to keep this option in beta. So explicitly say that, it's available. There is no guarantee for that. And it's recommended to use static packaging.
So why I started talking about it is, we can in a moment go back to your concerns, is that it's kind of a workaround what we have now, because there is still this Jenkins infra PR waiting to be merged. And I'm wondering if the solution we have now is something that we should put in the RC or 1.0, or should we wait, hope or wait for the Jenkins infra PR to be merged? If I know that Nicola has all the knowledge regarding that, but maybe.
What is exactly that pull request?
Well, I think in summary, what I was going to say is, do you want the specific number, or you just want the overall?
Yeah, I was just trying to understand what is that. Because
I think the issue is having the versions of the plugins in the update center, right?
Right.
Is that, Evelina, is that correct?
Yeah, it was about, so we were not able to access to download specific version of plugin, and then it was about there is a PR in let me share in the button.
Yeah, so it's update center implementation specific.
Yes.
Yeah. There we go.
All right, just a second, I'll share your screen. Okay.
So yeah, it's about the metadata in an update center.
Mm-hmm.
And there was some discussion. It started some time ago, and
yeah.
So, and it's not okay. This one is still open, right? Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So I think until this is merged, we won't have a final solution for plugin installation. And I was wondering if any of you have any opinion about if we should release the current solution, or is it something temporary just to like make it easier to test the plugin now. But if you don't know, then I will like direct the question to Nicola when he has time.
So yeah, there may be ways, because since the code is in place, it would be rather preferable to have feature flag. So for example, you can enable plugin installation via this JCasC self-configuration section. Or you can, it's a rather question of what would be the default behavior, whether you permit it or not.
Can I interject something here?
Yes.
The current implementation is really, really well hidden. You can actually look in the documentation, see how plugins work at the moment. So this feature flag, I don't think it's necessary, because you need to be lucky to figure out that we can actually install plugins.
It's super obscure, and thus it's totally safe.
Yeah, but we target improving the documentation.
But I would much rather we just mark this feature as somehow beta, and then use it at your own risk instead of enabling by adding a flag to begin with. Because I have a customer that wants to use this thing, regardless of.
That's an interesting point. So in terms of version numbering, we could probably, adding things is a safe bet. Changing things is where you have to deal with a breaking change, right? So I don't know if that matters, but it might be marking something as beta is one safe way to say, okay, if you use this, it might break, right? So that's also a fair way to go. And that would give people the ability to kind of start using the feature that exists and sort of the concept, and then if it changes, they know they go into it knowing that that's where they're going, right?
Yeah.
It seems fair to me, anyways. Beyond that, I don't have any opinion about whether or not it should be in or not.
I like the beta idea, because it seems that it will most probably change, and we can't say exactly how. So beta is kind of a safe solution.
Yeah, and it would also let people start playing with it and see what they like or don't like about the existing structure.
Yeah. What's your opinion on this, Oleg?
Yeah, so I totally vote for keeping the code available, because it's a nice experiment, and even if it doesn't work in all cases, it allows to evaluate the possibilities of doing such updates. +1 for whatever better availability. I would rather disable it by default, assuming that the documentation gets better, but I will be fine if it's enabled, for example, for RC candidate, and then we see what is the feedback. Because first, for release candidate, we still can change the behavior if needed.
Okay.
That's fair.
Sounds reasonable.
Yeah, so maybe it makes sense to create a task like make plugin installation available for beta. So annotate it as a beta or whatever.
Yeah.
Just to make sure we don't miss it.
Cool.
I'm okay with that. Mess?
Yeah, that's fine with me.
Okay. So we're running out of time, and I have more or less covered everything I needed to cover. Anyone has something really important that we should extend the meeting for a couple of minutes, or we good?
No, I think you've run a great meeting here. I'm glad I just got on Gitter and like, oh, this is happening. So I'm glad to have been able to join in and listen in on what's going on. And
Yeah. Sorry again for the time, but scheduling the meeting between those different continents is complicated. Anyway, so to summarize, thank you all for joining. For those who only watch it now or anytime after, we can always reschedule a meeting if there is a need. If you could not join the meeting and you're outraged by the decision we made, nothing is written in stone, as I already said today. So like reach out to us, preferably at the Gitter channel, so we can all contribute to the discussion, and we can always adjust. So that's it.
Excellent. Thanks a lot.
Yeah. Thank you. And talk to you in 2 weeks or earlier if there is a need. See you.
Okay, bye. I'm stopping the broadcast.
Yeah.
Cool.